Welcome back to the Tracy Take. I'm Tyler here with my brother Ryan, and today we're breaking down the Cleveland Browns 2024 NFL Draft. It was a lot of fun watching the NFL Draft this weekend. We thought Detroit did a good job, and we thought the Browns had some good picks as well. So we're going to break down each one. Before we do that, if you haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button, subscribe to the Tracy Take, and also tackle that bell to get notified when new Browns videos come out. We're trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the start of the 2024 NFL season. And from there, we're going to have weekly prediction videos for all of the Browns games that you're not going to want to miss. So go ahead, like, subscribe, and also ring that bell. Ryan, let's pull up the slides here. So first round pick, I think this was – I didn't even think about it, but Adam Schefter had a great point when the Texans – it was one of the Texans' day 3 picks, but it was the last pick from the Deshaun Watson Cleveland Browns trade. And it was interesting, too. It's kind of forgot how long ago that was and how long Deshaun Watson has been in Cleveland. And so it's one of the things, too, Cleveland did not have a first-round pick because of that. So still – say jury's still out to see how Deshaun Watson ends up doing. I think if Deshaun Watson brings in a Super Bowl, I think everybody will say that the trades were worth it. We'll have to kind of wait and see. But here, they'll get Michael Hall Jr., defense tackle out of Ohio State, addressing that defensive interior. I know they probably have one of the best defensive lines, honestly, between them and the Las Vegas Raiders. I think you can kind of go back and forth just because of just how much talent they have there. But it is on the older side. They did re-sign some of the guys like Zadarius Smith, for example, as well. I think getting younger, getting a guy like Michael Hall Jr. stayed in the keeping him in the state. I know the Browns love doing that. I think that this is going to be a good addition. Maybe a little early. I think we actually had him on our 7-round mock draft, but in the 3rd round as well. So
yeah,
so we'll have to see the back end of the 3rd. So you still got him there, which I think is good. But I think it's at minimum it's good to just get some good depth behind some of these veteran defensive tackles.
Yeah, this wasn't one of my favorite picks. He's an undersized defensive tackle. I think he has some good pass rushing moves. It's just not going to be super stout in the run game. The one thing with this Browns defense, though, they love to just move these guys around, and like Myles Garrett will line up over the center like sometimes. So I'm not super concerned with that. But a really athletic defensive tackle there that I think that they can use in a few different ways. So I like the pick a little bit. I just felt it was a little high. And then moving on now to their next pick. Sorry, Ohio State fans, but Zach Zinter, the interior offensive lineman from Michigan. This was another one I thought that was a little high, given the fact that he just broke his leg and it was a clean break, and they do say he's going to be ready for training camp. However, I do somewhat think that he might just be a scratch this year, similar to like an Andrew Voorhees. The only difference was like Andrew Voorhees was supposed to be a midday 2 pick and then fell to like midday 3. Whereas Zach Zinter, if he didn't break his leg, probably was a top 50 pick. So you get him here at 85. So I guess that's a fair trade-off. And maybe I'm being a little overly critical. I just think maybe there were, I don't say other routes to go, but maybe you could have gotten somebody that could have really, really contributed this year.
So I think with so few draft picks, I think you might as well take a flyer, because really one of the things too during the draft prospect or the offseason so far is like kind of where can the Browns improve, because really on paper they have a very solid team just in general. So, but I actually really like this pick. Zach Zinter, very versatile on that interior offensive line, and so I think he's going to provide good depth, even if he is a wash here for his rookie year, which I don't think he will be. It was a clean break. Supposedly by all reports, he should be good to go by the start of training camp, or at least the middle of training camp going into the season. And I honestly think that this is a steal, because this is a guy before the break I think was going to be a potential fringe first rounder just with his overall capabilities, both on the interior and to be able to move around. So he was one of the highly touted guards in the league. So I think the Browns getting him here. I know he's a Michigan guy, but still I think Browns fans will overlook that if he helps bring in a Super Bowl.
Yeah, and so for me, it's high risk, high reward. And it's not like Andrew Voorhees with the torn ACL. Like that is a lot harder to come back from than a clean break. However, we have seen guys that like they're never the same after the dual bone break in their lower leg. So we'll just have to see. But let's move on now to their day 3 picks. They have 4. Starting off, Jamari Thrash, the wide receiver from Louisville, very speedy guy, good separator as well. And then Nathaniel Watson, adding some linebacker depth there as well.
Yeah, and so I know Thrash is a guy that you really like, but I think he's going to be something different than what they have already.
Kind of in between like Elijah Moore and Amari Cooper, like size wise. So
yeah. And so it's gonna be a lot of fun. Then wrapping up with Miles Harden and then Jawan Briggs, defensive tackle out of Cincinnati. Once again, another Ohio kid. With so few picks, it really was. I think just trying to go and find good depth here, especially on day 3, they had the last, essentially all within the last 100 picks. So
yeah,
in general, though, I thought the Browns, for what they were able to do, it's still this draft. I think is still in these past couple drafts, all going to be dependent on how well the Deshaun Watson pans out. Which I would say they, as of now, they're probably on the losing end of that trade. I think he is. I don't even think he's played a full season with them.
No.
Now, yeah, because he only played 6 in 2022, and he only played, I think, in 6 or so last year as well. So we'll get to that full season total games played for the Browns here eventually. But Ryan and I, we did end up grading each draft against one another, not just individually on how it stood. And so we say that just because the overall average was probably between a B. I'd say a B for me. I ended up going with a B minus. Part of that then too is kind of as what I was mentioning as the projection overall still. We need to see how Deshaun Watson pans out because it's really the biggest thing, not having a first round pick, losing a lot of the draft picks in day 3 as well because of that. That's where I think there's going to be some of that still that's going to be left up to desire. I do like the Zach Zinter pick. I think Jamari Thrash, I think, was great value sitting up there at 156. But in general, though, I think it's in general that the Browns team on paper is very good. And so I think they just need to put a couple pieces together here. Need Deshaun Watson to stay healthy, and also Nick Chubb to stay healthy as well. And that was just devastating leg injury. I hope he's able to come back and be the same running back that we're all used to.
Yeah, and so for me, my biggest thing was just, did the Browns get better? And if they did, I think it's marginal. From this draft class, the Deshaun Watson trade, not having a first round pick, I think hurt their grade as well, because I did favor the top 100 picks over the day 3 picks, and so that for me was like, they didn't have the first round pick. I felt Michael Hall was a little too high. I think the Zach Zinter pick is pretty boom or bust, because I think if he can come back and be healthy this year, then great, you got a really quality offensive lineman. But if he's not, then it's like, all right, well, now your 3rd round pick is it sitting out at least a year? So that for me was just kind of my process there with the Browns draft.
Yeah. It only really time will tell, as we continue kind of down this route. But from here on out, though, Browns are going to have a first round pick next year, and so we'll have to kind of wait and see. Maybe depending on how they end up, maybe they'll move on. No, they can't really move on. They're kind of financially stuck with Deshaun Watson for a little bit longer. But we'll kind of have to wait and see. I still think this AFC North is just going to be so much fun to watch. Like all 4 of these teams, I'd say, are very similar in some aspect. I know the Ravens were the number 1 seed in last year's playoff, but I could honestly see it going a couple ways where even the Ravens now are like fighting for a playoff spot, just with how good these other teams are in the AFC North.
Yeah, so I think they added some good players. They should still be competitive. But let's go ahead and wrap up this video here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on what you thought of the Cleveland Browns 2024 draft class. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you have done differently? And on that, we will see you guys next time.